boy.
Hey, boys. You boys look kind of funny.
You boys ain't from around here, are
From
you?
around here.
Shut up and sit down.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get real cold up in here right now. Check this out.
Nice day to get on our bicycles, take a ride down to the park, pedaling up and down the hills, birds sing and dogs they bark.
It is a stretch, but so far what you are hearing is the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Have you heard that perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did?
Clouds flow by, and when we come back down, we roll so fast.
Okay, what the
Grass, wondering how many hours have passed.
What the bloody hell was that?
All right, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here today with Matt Legrand.
Wait, I can't say in studio. That's your that's your little clip. What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking stream-tastic.
Streamy.
Live streaming.
Streamy eyes.
On the YouTubes. I've heard
YouTubes,
of it.
yeah.
I think YouTube's gonna stick around. I think it's gonna be something.
You think so?
YouTube is not going to go away.
Maybe.
I mean, the internet is a fad for sure, but YouTube might stick around. I don't know.
Who knows?
Hard to say. Hard to say.
Cool. To his left, Mr. Lance Romance.
Lance with more pants on his
Oh, you got pants
ants.
on. Lance pants,
I've lost it. I've
In
lost it.
studio.
I am in studio. Here we are.
Off to a flying start
We
today.
are not off to a flying start. It's been a
Way too long to get all the stuff set up.
been a
It's
crap
all
show
janky.
this morning.
Missing cameras. Microphones aren't working. But you know what? We'll get there eventually. That's part of the process.
We'll figure it out. It's part of the process.
Well, welcome back to Dial Podcast number 152. Live.
152 live.
Streaming live.
We are streaming live today.
Live-ish.
So
if people want to see the live stream in the future,
they can
where
go
do
to
they
youtube.com/dialed cycling.
ooh, that's a nice URL.
Yeah. So we just started putting videos up there not too long ago. We figured, hey, why not put the podcast that we've been doing for almost 3 years now?
Almost 3 years.
We should have a 3-year celebration.
Definitely.
When is that? When's 3 years?
Very soon. What is that, like 156? Does that sound right?
That sounds right. 3 years.
Something like that?
50 once a week.
Yeah, 52.
52 weeks a
Yeah.
year. That's 156.
One of my favorite was
Math is hard.
One of my favorite was the 100th episode.
That
at
was
the-
a year ago.
at
like-
the live whatever we did at the bar.
Yeah.
that was awesome.
That was fun.
Yeah, Ben's
people-
Bottle Shop was a good place.
Can't do that anymore, can we?
No.
Not with the current pandemic situation.
Is the pandemic situation going to change before we hit 3 years? No.
Maybe not.
Dang it.
Cool. How about some backpedaling, boys? Matt, you want to start us
I
off?
can go fast.
Do it to it.
because I think I rode on Zwift 4 times, swam 2 or 3 times, and ran once. Done.
Anything exciting in
no,
there?
my ankle's all messed up. I ran on the track to try and keep things level and test some watch stuff, and it's not good. The team ride was definitely the highlight of the week. The team ride Tuesday night. I think I did okay. You know
I
what was
missed it
funny?
this week.
Did you? Yeah, you were just
Sleeping.
in the hammock, sleeping in a hammock somewhere. You're homeless. Yeah, I rode with a guy named Joey Shabadoo on the team ride, and I thought I was doing great because I was sticking with this guy that like legend has that he's a decent rider. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing great. I'm sticking with him. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Jake came through. I was like, oh, you know what? He's going ahead because he's got to stop and use the bathroom. Like, this is what he's doing. He's going to pull ahead of the group.
Yep.
He's going to stop and use the bathroom, and
Yep.
then he'll catch up to the group.
Right.
Turns out I had already been dropped by the majority of the people on the team ride. And, oh, look at what it's. Evan Price just walked in. Mr. Price.
Yeah, we're missing Mr. Price today. He has
work stuff to do.
He has
so
work stuff to do today.
He's here in spirit, and he's mostly just showing off his good looks as he comes through the podcast. He didn't make it quite on camera, but Yeah, so team ride was the highlight of the week. I like those rides. They're my hardest workout for sure of the week. And then, I'd say other than that, I really wanted to get out on Saturday, and it was actually decent weather on Saturday. And I went and I did a really hard swim, but I didn't actually get out on the bike. So it's pretty disappointing when we have such questionable weather here in the Pacific Northwest in the winter, and you have a nice day and you don't make it out.
Yeah, you want to take advantage of it.
It's
It's dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next time.
Cool. How's that Achilles feeling?
It's not good. It's purple.
Still
and
killing you?
It's killing me. I think it does better when I don't do any hills. Unfortunately, where we live, Jake, is slightly
on top
hilly.
of a little hill?
Slightly hilly.
You live on top of a hill.
What is it, like 500 feet of climbing in a half a mile or something? I mean, it's
something like that. Yeah, I just know whenever I
crazy.
go home, it's always an extra 450 feet of climbing every single time.
And David Goodman, one of our podcast favorites, is potentially moving into our neighborhood, which I am very excited about. Looks like that's a go, I think.
Wow.
Good. That's good news.
That's cool.
I know. Well, I mean,
taking over.
I'm just hoping that he's going to be like, Matt, 5 minutes. I'm leaving 5 minutes. And then like add another one to our list. Like we'll just have a little group chat going, and then we'll just go do our lunch ride.
Another
maybe.
person to take a few stabs at the segment on your street.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be his segment now. But yeah, now that you're here, for the lunch break, maybe he's your replacement.
Oh, no. I just got
the lunch
replaced.
ride.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, Dave. Well, he has a job too, doesn't he?
He has a real job.
Yeah.
He's not like me. He's not a slacker.
Lance, what you been up to?
I rode bikes this week.
You don't say.
Yeah, every day.
Anywhere cool?
I did spend a few days still on the big island of Hawaii. I came home Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I did like 17 hours last week. So
That's
still had a decent
Slacker.
week. That's about where it's rolling out. Had a couple of fantastic hilly rides in the Captain Cook area of the Big Island. You can't like go on a ride there and not climb like 4,000 feet.
Did you get any more KOMs? You got that one last podcast we talked about.
I think I came away with 10 or 11 from the island.
You going to keep them, or are those going to be quickly
I have
removed?
No idea.
Don't know.
None of them are on the major Queen K highway where there's like 15,000 people have done a ride. So I don't know
Did what you could.
if I'll keep them or not, but yeah, I had a good time. It was great to be there. Travel is a hassle right now. I don't know if while I was there, I would say it was worth it, but the travel to get there and get back, it was just a hassle. So
now is not a good time to travel.
It's not a good time to travel. And I wouldn't have done this if we hadn't had this booked like 18 months in advance, and we still kind of tried to see how it went. So I don't know. But it was nice. We didn't go to a single restaurant while we were there. We went to Costco, bought a bunch of food, and just cooked dinner.
Probably saved a lot of
every
money.
night. We did, yeah.
Save some doll hairs.
Yeah. So the best part is we had we took our blow up SUP board, our stand up paddle board. So we took that with us, and we had the airport was a joke because we had 2 bike boxes, my bike, my wife's bike, and this huge bag with the SUP board in it.
That is a lot of luggage.
It was a lot of stuff. I actually rented a truck, which made it super easy on the island because we threw the blown up SUP in the back of the truck, and we could put both our bikes in the back seat of the truck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we always had all our stuff with us.
Did you guys feel like it was worth it to bring the stand-up paddleboard? I know it was worth it to bring the bikes.
Brandy used it every single day.
And yes, right?
Yeah.
She loved it?
It was great because we would drive a half hour or 45 minutes to some beautiful beach. Brandy would set up the hammock. She would get on the SUP. I'd get on the bike. I'd go ride for 3 or 4 hours. I'd come back. She'd been
on the water.
She'd been on the water and then snorkeling and then drawing on the beach. It was very relaxing.
Man.
So, and
I want to go.
I rode a lot, and it was warm, and that was nice.
I feel like living in the Pacific Northwest, you just almost need or want a break in February.
It's like,
like this time of year where you're like, this is the time. Go do something warm.
Yeah.
And then
they called this day that we're recording this on, Monday the 18th is Blue Monday. That's like the day that a lot of people in the Pacific Northwest, or just people that deal with a lot of weather in general, are quote unquote blue, or starting to become a little bit depressed.
It starts to get you.
Exactly, because you're past the holidays.
Yep.
You're kind of getting deep into the winter in terms of like the amount of cloudy, rainy days that you've seen. A lot of people have failed at their New Year's resolution by now. And they're a little bummed out about that. So there's just little things like that that start to pile up. And they say that clinically speaking, this is where most people deal with that the worst.
Yeah, I believe it. So, but other than that, yeah, I mean, the islands were great. It was just a hassle. Airports were empty. The planes were half full.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
So,
A little
Did you mosey on up to first class?
no,
spread out your legs.
no, we didn't do that. We rode in Alaska, which they don't charge for bikes, which is like
Fantastic.
Right.
Alaska, my hat goes off to them. They're awesome. They used to only charge the $35, I
it's
think it was.
$40.
Well, they stopped doing that when I think it was they bought out Virgin Atlantic or vice versa, whatever that ended up being. And once they did that, they stopped charging for bike boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, so we took both bikes and we checked 3 big pieces of luggage.
Yeah.
And we paid $40 each way.
Wow.
For that third piece, we paid $40. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well played.
yeah. Thanks.
Cool.
Thank you, Alaska. Came back and still rode outside a couple of times here in Vancouver, Washington. Actually made it out with Jake yesterday. I'll
Yes,
let him
sir.
talk about that. So yeah, I went out on Saturday. I rode like 50 miles just to get out because it was actually dry.
Yeah.
And I ran into like 5 people, like teammates and people I knew. And so it was nice to see people out there.
Good.
So.
Cool. My turn?
Yes, please.
Real quick, I rode on Zwift way too much, just like all other weeks this time of the year. Blue Zwifting.
How's your training going? You feel like you're coming around?
Yeah.
Power's okay?
It's good. Was it yesterday with Lance? I was just drained. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's trying these knuckleheads that are trying to do this whole like let's ride every single day and we're on day 152. Today's gonna be 153, or if it's just I had a long weekend. I didn't sleep.
Did I see you on Zwift this week? Maybe it was Monday before the team ride.
Yeah, you did. It was Monday.
You were going slower than I've ever seen you go.
That's my off day. Usually that's the day that I don't ride at all.
Yeah,
that's the
I
day
know.
that I take
Monday.
off. And so when I got on there, I'm like, all right, watts per kilo. We're going to stay south of 2.0 watts per kilogram.
Yeah.
Ideally 1.6 to 1.8 was kind of where I was at. And I was just cruising. And Matt pops up and I see him there and he's riding next to me. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I get to ride with Matt and like ride at Matt's pace. This is awesome. And then Matt gets out of the saddle and his little avatar starts sprinting away. I'm like, well, there goes Matt. See you, buddy. Are we doing some interval sets?
No, I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, you did a couple little efforts there.
Surges or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, just random.
And I
Who
sent
knows?
Matt a text. I don't know if you got that or not. I'm like, I don't have anything in me today, so
Yeah.
if you drop me,
So have fun.
But I was like, why is he going so slow? I always hang on as long as I can, and then I get dropped eventually. And
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the rest day, so that I
That
don't
was good. I need to
completely
hang-
implode on that
I
team
need
ride
to
on Tuesdays.
find you on Mondays more often.
Yeah,
because,
that's my drill.
prime time for me. 100 watts.
One thing that we did do this week, which was a blast, was another nighttime gravel ride.
Oh, yeah.
that
that's
was
right.
fun.
Was that Thursday?
It was
Wednesday?
Thursday, correct?
That looked
Wednesday?
cool.
It was Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, there was 10 of us who showed up,
Wow.
and everybody was following all the COVID protocols, had all their buffs up and keeping space out, and we went out and rode, started in the dark and finished it even darker, and it was fun. I got 30 miles in on a Thursday night, and it was all dark miles, so that was
Nice.
fun. It was a good workout too.
What did you guys do on Sunday? Did you guys ride gravel bikes?
No,
Road stuff?
So Saturday, I ended up just riding I only had an hour in the morning, so I just rode on Zwift really quick,
Yep.
and I ended up going camping with my wife.
Oh, yeah.
we just did like a little overnight, one night kind of camping deal up at Rainbow Falls.
Yep.
which was fun. And then on Sunday when I got back,
Bring your camera?
I took the camera and the drone and took some pictures.
Ooh.
And then on Sunday when I got back, I just didn't sleep well. I don't know, whatever it is. Just my shoulder and back and all the other stuff weren't too happy about sleeping. And I was tired. So when I went and rode with Lance yesterday, he's like, oh, I'm just looking for a casual cruise. I think those were his words. And I'm like, that is perfect. And I needed to get 2 hours. And so Lance and I just rode out to Frenchman's Bar and back. And that was a nice, easy pace. I don't even think we cracked 19 miles an hour for our average speed.
I don't think
you
so.
guys
Yeah.
both rode together and you took it easy?
Yeah.
Just
What?
chatted the whole
Yeah,
time.
we just were talking the whole time.
BSing about everything the whole
That's
time.
awesome.
It was a great little ride. So I don't know.
It is rare that we ride together and don't test each other at
Yeah.
some point,
There
but
was
we
no
didn't.
flogging, yes.
There was no flogging.
Usually, when you get out to Frenchman's Bar too, and it gets flat and there's no lights, that's when the pace slowly starts to roll. But
we just rolled with it.
Yeah, there's usually like a Pavlovian response when you get out there. It's just like you get there and
this is go time.
it's like,
Gotta test
drop the
myself.
hammer. There's
Yeah.
no lights, no nothing. You just start flying. So I don't know. It was fun.
That didn't
So
happen.
that was my week. Fun times.
That was it.
Yeah.
I was supposed to ride with Kevin.
Kevin?
Who's Kevin? He's gone for one day, and I've already forgotten his name. Sorry, Evan. He's not going to listen to this. Is he going to listen to this?
Maybe.
He might listen to it. I was supposed to ride with Evan Sunday morning. We were going to go do the Savi loop.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. He talked about that.
Because there's another racing team that has been throwing down some laps on Savi's Island on Sunday mornings.
Cool
and,
group of people, for
yeah,
sure.
and so they've been kind of goading us to come join them. So Evan and I were going to go out there and throw down a little bit, but we woke up and it had rained for 6 hours and the roads were soaking wet, and we both just texted each other and went,
I ran Sunday morning. It was like misty rain.
Yeah.
I think it would have been wet. I mean, you would have been fine, but there's no sharp turns.
There's not.
in
We
that
just,
route, but
both
yeah,
of us just kind of,
Yeah.
we totally weaseled out. It
Yeah,
was,
you'll get another chance.
yeah.
That's the great thing about that ride is it's been around for a while now, and it's gonna stick
It's
around
a different
for a while.
group, you know.
It's the same ride, right? Savi
It's-
Island Shootout.
It's
Sundays.
not. It kind of. The Savi Shootout is
Is
put
that
together
Saturdays
by
or Sundays?
Andrew Springer, and he
Yeah.
has officially been on hiatus because of the pandemic.
Right.
Because big group rides are probably not a good idea.
True.
This is another group that put together a Sunday ride, and they called it Savi Worlds.
Oh, okay.
And they do 3 laps instead of 2 laps.
Oh, okay.
And it's mostly just one specific team guys getting out there, so it's only
Still, that's
10
cool.
or 15 guys.
So when they get out there and they're doing the 3 laps, are all 3 laps hot?
Yeah.
Oh wow! So it's a longer. So how long is each lap? Is it like 6 miles
No,
ish,
it's
or
longer
is it
than
longer
that.
than
No,
that?
it's like
10.
12.
It's like 12.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Or-
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Somewhere in
yeah.
that range. Yeah.
I think it's something like that.
So it probably ends up being like a 50-ish mile ride once
50
you.
or 60 miles, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice race simulation.
Probably hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not easy, that's for sure. Yeah. But anyway, so it's not the same ride, but anyway, when we can actually ride in groups again, I'm sure it'll
they-
just go back to the shootout.
Do they start in town and ride out there, or
Yeah,
do
they start in downtown Portland in the
So
Pearl District and
Would
then
you
ride
guys?
out there.
You guys would start there with in the Pearl, and then
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just like the Savi Island
Yeah.
shootout. So
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Different,
but
but the same.
different. It's 3 laps, not 2
Different,
laps.
different, but the same. Totally different.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's not really advertised. It's just people know and
Probably
they
shouldn't be
show
at
up.
this point.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've probably given it too much press coverage just right there.
Yes, you're gonna be in trouble.
Okay, enough of that.
Hey,
Champ Bailey.
Top 5? I think he's in the top 5 discussion. I mean, I'm not just going to go out crazy
Hall
and
of
say top
Famer?
3. Hall of
Famers.
Champ Bailey.
Hall of Fame. How did you get in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm one of the best cornerbacks of all time,
Absolutely, no doubt.
apparently. Yes, Champ Bailey is here. I do have a little bit of racing news. There was a cyclocross race that did happen. There was only one race instead of the normal, 8 that happened. It was called, I probably shouldn't even jump through. It was called, I've already lost it. We're on it.
Make
Anyway,
something up.
It's called Silver Wilderman Cross.
Hey, that sounds perfect.
It was something like
I think I
that.
saw something about that over the weekend.
I feel like an idiot.
Who won?
Wout Van Aert won because Vanderpool didn't come, Pidcock didn't come. A bunch of people took the week off because the World Championships are in 2 weeks. And so people are resting and recovering before their final thing. But Wout won, and I think Lucinda Brand won.
Good on her.
Yep. So
How did Clara do? Was she
she
there?
was 8th.
Okay.
She went. Same with Becca Farnger. She went. Katie Compton. They were all there. All the ones that are there. And there are actually our USA cyclocross team. They announced that as well for the World Championships. They're sending 5 women and 1 man to the World Championship. So The women, there's Maddie Monroe. She's our U23 rider. She's going to be racing there. The elite women, it's Clara Hansinger, Rebecca Faringer, Katie Compton, and Katie Keogh. So that's good to hear. They've all been racing in Europe and have been solid. And we've only had one male actually racing in Europe, and that's been Curtis White. So he's going to be going to the World Championships. Nobody else has been over there racing.
Was it because they weren't able to get out of the country in time before they kind of shut all the COVID stuff down?
As part of it, and like some athletes do have some pre-existing conditions that are just not good for them to travel or be in groups. So, and these are the ones that made it over there and that have been racing. So that's what's been happening there. In other racing news, the Tour Down Under was canceled.
You don't say.
Yeah. So in a giant
Australia, I feel like is being pretty strict.
They are.
Their, which I think is very reasonable. Like New Zealand was even more strict. It seemed like for a while.
Yeah.
Because they were like keeping everyone out.
Trying to keep people. So that was canceled. So that was sad. But
Richie Port, it's like he's won that how many years now?
He's won that a few times.
Dozen years in a row or something.
And I don't know if you guys want to talk about this or not, but there was another team training camp car accident that happened yesterday.
No.
I hate cars.
What happened?
The Bora Hansgrove team. They had two different training groups out, and a car left hooked them and hit 7 riders.
Oh.
So there were some concussions and some broken vertebrae. There were 7 riders who were actually taken out, including
Lance.
What? What?
Technology sucks.
Oh my gosh, we have just been through a freaking mess.
We just lost the live stream. The computer died. The camera died. We lost Matt LeGrand.
He's gone. It's just me and Matt. Or it's just me and Jake right now.
Lance doesn't even know who I am anymore.
I can't even keep my head straight.
I'm hungry, turning hangry. Podcast is off the rails.
Yeah, this is a mess. This is a mess this week.
But it's all good, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's all good. I got my buttons.
You got your laugh track buttons.
Go back to your article, Lance. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah. So there was some bad stuff that happened to Bora Hansgrove.
Stop laughing, people.
How long's the laugh track? Luckily, nobody was severely injured. Wilco Kelderman had a concussion and a broken vertebrae. Max Schumann, I think, was in there. Those are the names I recognize.
That's so terrible.
Yeah. Luckily, Peter Sagan was not with that training group. They had split the team.
Luckily for Peter. I mean, we don't want to see happen. It just sucks that it happens to anybody. I don't care if you're somebody that's just riding a bike for the first time. But yeah.
Exactly. So
pay attention, people. When you drive your car, pay attention.
She just didn't see him coming and just drove straight into the whole group, which just blows me away that still happens.
And didn't see them coming. Was that in air quotes?
Possibly,
yeah. Little CYA motion there.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Anyway, that's it. That's enough news.
Thanks, champ.
Champ out.
So if you were listening or watching on the live stream or thinking that you're going to go ahead and watch the live stream later on YouTube, sorry.
Nope.
We will do it next week. We actually will have a guest in studio next week, so we'll get all this stuff sorted out. It's one of those things where I was hoping to have this all set up and had plans of getting that done over the weekend, and other things happened. And, sometimes things happen when you venture out to start something new.
Yeah.
Live and you learn.
It's like it's new hardware, it's new software, it's trying to learn all that, it's getting everything connected, making sure you have the right connection. Yeah, we screwed it all up.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll figure it out. So, all right, let's jump into our Patreon. We're going to do a Patreon drawing this week. No new Patreons. Lance, why don't you go ahead and shake that little container up. A little shaky shake there. We got a bunch of folded names of all of our lovely Patreons, and one fell out on the table. It looks like it just jumped out of there. Who's it going to be?
Rob Buck.
Rob Buck won again?
Wait, didn't he just win last week?
It was a couple times ago that we did this.
2 weeks ago?
Something like that. So, Mr. Rob Buck, next time you're in town,
He's living it. He's living cleanly.
Yeah, it's crazy that his name it literally jumped out of the container.
I was shaking it.
So what you won this week, Mr. Rob Buck, was a couple of sports bottles here. Are those Purists?
They are. They're the Purist.
Is the Purist?
Yep.
And it was from our friends over at Sierra Nevada. And
the larger Purist bottles. So they're the 20 ounce instead of the 12 ounce or whatever.
No, I think it's more like a 22 or 24 ounce instead of the 20 ounce.
Yeah, okay,
I think,
maybe,
something like that. But whatever it is, he got a couple sports bottles. So throw those on his bike and enjoy that. He's actually doing some cool stuff up in the Seattle area. He's got some like trail advocacy and alliance thing going on, and they're going out and building stuff and bringing more people out on the trails and doing all kinds of fun things. So good on you, Rob.
Love to hear that.
Fun stuff. I got to stop saying the word stuff.
Whatever.
All right, so we had a different topic in mind today since Matt bounced on us and went to go swim instead because we were having all these technological difficulties. We're going to do a little article.
Everything fell apart.
Low-hanging fruit article that Lance and I are going to kind of pick apart. What was the article titled, Lance?
The 15 benefits of cycling. Why cycling is good for weight loss, fitness, legs, and mind.
All right, let's go through this, and I want to pick this apart and see if it's legit or not. So what's the first one on that list?
Okay, number 1, cycling improves mental well-being.
Does it help you make a better podcast and
Not
live
today.
stream? Not today.
You know why?
Why is that?
We didn't ride this morning.
That's very true.
If we had ridden this morning, our heads would have been more clear. We would have dealt with the disaster a little more smoothly.
Well, maybe we need to make that a thing. I don't know.
Maybe that's it.
So, but I would tend to agree with that on the whole. How about you?
You know, I feel better if I ride,
Oh, yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Your mood, your disposition, your just overall.
I found lately that actually my whole day's better if I actually get the ride done in the morning, like one of the first things. My whole day just feels better.
I have to agree with you on that. I just get so tied up in doing different things. I find myself working in the morning before I come into work, which is probably a bad thing. And then it's usually leaving it into the evening. Now, when we have evening rides, when it's with the team, when we've got sun and we've got warm temperatures and all this stuff,
fantastic.
I look forward to those.
Yep.
Like, I'm jonesing to get out there. But when it's like, oh, gosh, I got to go jump on the trainer.
Yeah.
I've got to go do a sweet spot workout for an hour and a half because that's what Trainer Road told me to do. I kind of dread it a little bit, and I don't know if that makes me happy. So...
Yeah, that's true.
It is what it is. Oh, this is a cycling takeover, by the way.
Hey, that's right.
Yeah. Cycling takeover. Got all these like triathletes
Forget the
out of here.
triathletes. We got rid of both of them.
$1 million question. Will they listen?
No. Do you listen to the podcast every week?
I do, because I have to go back and make sure that it sounds good. Plus, I don't know. I just think it's kind of fun to listen to it and figure out where we can improve on things.
I'm obsessed with myself, so of course I listen to my own voice every week.
It's still kind of, I don't know. I still find it a little bit odd that my wife is really getting into cycling, and she now listens to the podcast regularly.
Oh, boy.
And I think it's just because it's me, and she's trying to be supportive. But she doesn't have to, and I thought that she would have by now just said, "Oh, good on you, honey, good job."
Right.
Not that we use the word "honey" with each other. I don't know why that just came out of my mouth. But I still walk in, and she'll be riding on the trainer, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Listening to you, riding on the trainer." I'm like, "My gosh, that kind of blows me away."
Well, it's commitment because it's, we say it's going to be an hour, but it's an hour and a half every week.
Yeah.
And
And that's generally, we keep it to that length because a lot of people like to listen to it while they're riding. And a lot of people's rides average out to about an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, true.
I don't know, if we're wrong, tell us.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the next one?
My iPad died.
Oh, go figure, huh?
Okay, number 2. It strengthens your immune system. Cycling strengthens your immune system.
I would probably agree with that to a certain level. If you ride too much, like you've ridden like 170 days in a row and you ride like 4 or 5 hours each time you go out. Have you been sick recently?
I have not been sick.
Well, maybe there's something to it then.
Okay, let me think. During the last year and a half, I think I've been sick once.
How sick were you? What were the...
I had a fever.
I think I remember that. It was a quick one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 2 days.
Yeah.
I had a fever. I felt terrible. I was fatigued. I thought for sure I had COVID. I went and got tested. I tested negative, and it was gone in 2 days. So But then again, we haven't really been around people. We've avoided people. We've stayed away from. But I do think it does help your immune system. I mean, anything physically active just helps boost that.
Yeah, I'd have to say that on the whole, I think I do pretty well. When I first moved to the Pacific Northwest, I was quickly introduced to this thing called vitamin D deficiency.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a thing up here.
And when your vitamin D levels plummet, your immune system really takes a hit. And I got sick a couple times. Who's calling us here? Sorry. Someday I'll get that figured out. So anyway, my immune system took a hit, got sick a few times, went and saw the doctor, thought I was going to be dying of cancer or something like that. And he's like, oh, you Pacific Northwesterner now. You can wear that badge with honor, and here's your prescription for a bunch of vitamin D stuff. And took that, and everything went really well. And since then, since I got that dialed in, it's been pretty good. Now, I do have young kids. They're quickly getting older, but kids go to school. It's like little petri dishes there, right? And so they would bring stuff home, and they would be sick, and I would get it sometimes, but I never felt like it was a lasting thing. So I guess I'm going to have to say that's a one that I agree with.
How do you what do you take to combat the vitamin D issue?
Vitamin D3.
Just you take
daily. Like, how many IUs do I take? I think it's like 5,000 during the winter months.
Drops or
usually just in a pill form.
In a little pill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to take something too. Same thing. We live in the Northwest. We don't get that much sun during the winter, so
Correct.
If you don't take vitamin D, you either you get sick or you get depressed.
Yeah. So here's another thing too. This is the first year. Well, the last 3 years we've gone on a team training camp, and we always go to sunny Southern California, and we always soak up a bunch of vitamin D while you're doing that.
Yes.
I don't know. I think I might have. I might need to figure out a way to get out of town to go do my own little personal training camp, since we're not going to be going anytime soon. Thanks, COVID.
No, we're not. That's why I just went to Hawaii. Never mind.
All right, what's the next one?
I even have a tan line on my arm.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, never mind.
Okay. Yeah.
Number 3. Cycling promotes weight loss.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I have seen so many cool stories. So many people that talk about, like, they maybe used to be an athlete at some point in time or not, and they got to a point or a station in life where they're just like, they look in the mirror, or a doctor tells them, hey, you need to make some changes, and they maybe go out and try running, and it just doesn't jive with them. It beats up the body and sore fill in the blank body part.
Right.
And they go ahead and they take up cycling, and then they fall in love with the sport, and the next thing you know, like, they've lost a ton of weight, and they're going to be now doing something they can do for the rest of their life.
We have seen that on our own team.
Yes.
We have seen that at this very table.
Yes.
So,
I have been, I've been close to 230 pounds twice.
Yep.
I've been on the good side of that, and I've been on the not so good side of that. Like, one of them was sponsored by, like, Weight Gainer Beefcake 2000, like, lifting weights, and the other one was sponsored by Betty Crocker, aka my wife. Anyway, it's one of those things that if you stick to it and you follow the regimen and you are like an avid cyclist, you're going to burn a ton of calories. You're going to build muscle mass. You're going to increase your metabolic rate. And if you really get into the sport and you start to become competitive, we might be getting into this a little bit later. I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself here. It's a full-on paradigm shift in terms of how you go about your life. It's like you start thinking differently about how you feel yourself,
Correct.
how you rest, how much you're training.
Right.
All of these things lend themselves to being lean and mean.
Correct.
So still not perfect, and we'll still have our ebbs and flows. There's going to be ups and downs, but we're going to stay within a certain percentage of what a good fitness number is for us. And that's
consistency is key.
Correct.
I find if I'm consistent with my writing, I make better food choices.
Exactly. And if you're surrounded by other people
who are trying to do the same
thing, it's a good support system.
Absolutely.
Yep. What else?
Number 4, you just mentioned it. Cycling builds muscle. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Have you seen my quads?
Have you seen Chris Froome's guns lately?
He's got no guns.
Now, quads on the end, yeah. That's the only downside about cycling is it's a very linear sport, and it's a very dominant sport for probably your core, hips, and thighs and calves, but upper body
Not your upper
so
body
much.
so much.
You do see your cross racers, and you do see your mountain bikers are probably a little bit more svelte up there, just because of the bike handling stuff and the out of the saddle and the maneuvering of the bike. But your roadies, yeah, not so much in the upper category.
All right, number 5. You can enjoy second breakfasts after cycling.
Yes. If you ride in the morning.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, you can just take in more calories. Yeah, you can just take in more calories on the whole. Like on a typical ride, when you go out and ride for, say, 2 hours, just throw that out there. We know that you usually ride for more than that. In that 2-hour time period, you're probably burning somewhere 1,400 to 2,000 calories.
I burn somewhere between 400 and 1,000 calories an hour on the bike, depending on how hard I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you take into consideration what your basal metabolic rate is, like the base number of calories that your body burns just by surviving, like your heartbeat and breathing and all that other stuff, and then you start walking around a little bit, you burn a few more little calories, and then you jump on the bike and burn like this big old whopping like almost 2,000 calories.
Right.
That all adds up, and you can eat more during the course of the day, and you almost have to in order to fuel yourself to keep your glycogen levels topped off and make sure that you're getting the protein that you need to replenish the muscles that were broken. Like all these things, you got to put the building blocks in.
This is an unpopular opinion, but I have found that if a ride's under 2 hours, I don't hardly have to eat anything. But that's because I've trained myself to kind of get there. Anything beyond 2 hours, I better have some calories in me.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
It just depends on what kind of a ride it is, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you and I are going to go out and flog each other for 2 hours and I didn't eat very much that morning, I'm probably going to need to eat during that ride. But, like we mentioned, that we went on a ride yesterday out to Frenchman's Bar for 2 hours. I did stop and eat a picky bar, but that's just because I had hardly any calories
the whole
day, and it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
True.
So, but on average, I'm probably right there with you. I don't eat very much, and I need to drink more, though.
Yeah, it's cold. You don't drink as much. Okay, I had a problem.
Yeah.
Did I talk about that last week?
I think you did.
I think I talked about it last week because I did like a 4.5-hour ride on 2 bottles in Hawaii
with humidity and temperature.
80% humidity and 82 degrees or something.
Sure.
That doesn't work.
No.
Guess what? I had cramping issues.
Yeah.
Zero surprise that I had cramping issues, and that was fully from not drinking enough. It wasn't calories. It wasn't salt. I am a salt lick. I eat a lot of salt.
Yep.
But I cramped because I did not have enough water in me. For sure. But here in the Northwest, I could do a 3-hour ride on 2 bottles.
Yep.
And get away with it just fine.
Yeah. Do you ever kick yourself when you get home? You're like, 2 things. I just rode for 3 hours. I took 2 bottles with me. You get back, and they're both nearly full. You're like, you idiot, you didn't drink your water. And B, you're like, I just went out and climbed all these hills and carried around how much extra weight?
Yep. Yes, I've done that. All right.
What's the next one?
Number 6, cyclists have better lung health.
Yes.
Duh.
Rhetorical.
Yep.
Moving on.
Cycling cuts heart disease and cancer risk.
That's good. Did they quantify any of that? Is it just...
There's new evidence presented in the form of a study conducted by the University of Glasgow earlier this year. Research studied over 260,000 individuals over the course of 5 years and found that cycling to work can cut a rider's risk of developing heart disease or cancer in half.
Wow. Folks, go ride your bikes.
Yeah.
That's kind of rhetorical. People listening to this probably ride their bikes already. Folks, tell all your friends that don't ride bikes to go ride bikes and to listen to the podcast.
It's one of the reasons why I actually got into cycling.
Yeah.
Because I have heart disease in my family history.
You do?
A lot of it.
Okay.
And my father, my grandparents, on both sides, there's a lot of heart disease, and I'm petrified of that. It's also one of the reasons why I went vegan.
Yep.
Was to try to stay away from any animal proteins that might continue to clog up my arteries, even if I'm being healthy, you know?
Sure.
So those are the 2 things that really prompted, was because I don't want to have a heart attack. And I'm very cardiovascular fit for a 51-year-old.
Yep.
And that's part of it.
That's good information. What's the next one?
Cycling is low impact.
What number is this?
8.
8. Cycling is low impact. Until you get hit by a car.
Only if you don't crash.
And if you don't crash. I've had plenty of impacts and plenty of broken bones now. So, but when you stay rubber side down and right side up, I would agree.
Yeah. Another reason why I'm a cyclist and not a runner like the other two idiots that sit at our table is because my knees are shot.
Yep.
Because of years and years of running.
Well, think about this. Your knees are shot. You've got a slight bit of drop foot from neurological damage from a back injury.
Correct.
And you've probably had a few other injuries along the way.
Yep.
Yet you're still able to go out and ride your bike competitively.
Yeah.
And you're pushing yourself harder than you've probably ever pushed yourself on the bike. And you're probably faster than you've ever been on the bike.
Yeah.
At 50 years old.
Correct.
That is fantastic.
But if I try to run, forget it.
Yeah, the wheels
and
fall
I
off.
still have a foot that doesn't quite work right, but I
Yeah.
can still ride a bike like that.
Just stick to that 0.2 miles per cross race, right?
Number 9, cycling saves time.
How so?
If you're doing a short commute, so you get in your car, you sit in traffic.
Yep.
You get to the place where you're gonna park. You have to find a place to park. You have to maybe pay to park, or you have to walk. Or if you're not driving the car, you
Yeah.
have to walk to the bus stop or
Yep.
walk to the subway. All that stuff. Whereas if you just hopped on your bike, you could whip through traffic.
Yeah, especially in this day and age now that the e-bikes have become so prevalent. I mean, you could probably even get there even faster and not even have to put in near the effort.
Yeah.
Like, granted, that's just almost a different kind of a motorized transportation. But still, you're going to work out and exercise and all that other fun stuff. And even if you were just on a bike, it kind of amazes me sometimes that, like, I'll get in the car and I'll go somewhere and, like, you're factoring, like, how long it's going to take you. So I live in this little town called Camas, Washington. And there's another town right next to us called Vancouver, Washington. And I've made it from my house to downtown Vancouver in 35 minutes before. And that's, going at a pretty brisk pace.
Sure.
I sometimes have to drive there, and it doesn't take me any less time. I mean, it probably takes me 30 minutes, because of the things that you just talked about. I'm like thinking to myself, I could have freaking ridden here and had a smile on my face,
Right.
and I get to also ride home. Yeah.
We had a team ride a couple weeks ago, and Chris Hannell blew out a tire. He needed a new tire.
Yep.
So we were at the lab, but we had to go to my house, which is about 6 miles away.
Correct.
And so Hannell was going to drive his van with his bike in his van. We were all going to ride there. We beat him. We beat him to my house.
Yeah.
Even though it was like 6 miles away, we beat him to the house on our bikes.
Thanks, stoplights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good call. I like that one.
number 10, cycling improves navigational skills.
Word.
Yeah.
Yes. I totally agree with that. It was funny. I mentioned earlier that my wife and I went camping over the weekend, and we were driving back, and she had no idea where we're at. I'm like thinking to myself, I've ridden on these roads so many times.
We've already ridden on those roads.
But in the same breath, I'd never driven a car on them. Ever.
Yeah.
But I knew exactly where I was
Where
at.
you were at.
And like even little dumb things. I'm like, oh, there's like a little mini farm up here, and they sell eggs and stuff like that. And there's another house just down the road, and they do piano lessons. She's like, what? And I'm like, look. And she's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, we can get eggs right there, and the kids can go do piano lessons at this house. And we're out in the middle of nowhere. And she's like, how do you find these things? I'm like, ride a bike.
I travel a lot in my van,
Yeah.
and every new city I get to, I'm always looking at the map and trying to find decent rides.
Yeah.
And I usually get the lay of the land of a new city pretty quickly because I go ride it even before I drive around in it.
Yeah, but
So-
what's funny about that, though, is you don't know the names of the streets.
No.
But I bet my bottom dollar that you know the names of the segments on all the roads.
course
And we
I
refer to roads as segments now as opposed to what their actual name is. So
Their segments.
Yeah.
Yep.
carrying on.
I did get some segments this week.
You did? Yep,
I'm
good.
going to shut up now.
I got
Okay.
one.
Number 11. Cycling improves your sex life.
It depends on how you look at that. If you go ride too much and your significant other starts getting a little grumpy with you, I would beg to differ. Let's move on, though.
I'm trying to see why they prove. Okay, whatever.
Do they have a case in point there?
There's no. It builds some rather essential muscle groups. Okay, we're moving on.
Sorry, kids.
Number 12, cyclists sleep better.
Debatable. But I will say that after a hard ride, I definitely do sleep a little bit better. I've got my own reasons why I don't sleep, but yeah.
I talked with Jake about this. Obviously I just spent this week in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I slept almost 10 hours every night.
I can't remember the last. I was probably a teenager the last time I slept 10 hours.
My recovery scores were like off the grid. I had like 95 to 99% recovery scores every night, even though I was riding 3 or 4 hours a day. But part of that's because all I did, we didn't go out to eat. We didn't go anywhere. We except to the beach. We'd go to a beach. I'd ride my bike for 3 hours. We'd be home by 5 o'clock. We'd cook dinner in the condo. I was in bed by 7:30.
Who does most of the cooking? You or Brandy?
We split it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Who did most of the cooking while you were in Hawaii?
That's a good question. I think I made a couple meals and she made a couple meals.
Okay. All right.
So it was pretty sweet. My wife's a fantastic cook.
Sure. I don't doubt that for a second.
I just followed directions.
Yeah. So you're kind of getting a glimpse. Granted, you were still having to cook yourself, but you're kind of getting a small glimpse into the life of a pro cyclist.
Right.
You go, you train hard. You come back, you put your feet up in a hammock.
Yep.
You're hydrating, you're fueling, and then you're relaxing, and then you're eating a nice meal, and then you're getting 10 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
That's their life.
Dude, there was very few other things to worry about because we didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So
No excursions, nothing to divert your attention from your bicicleta.
Correct.
Yeah.
Number 13, cycling boosts your brain power, but not with setting up live streams.
Correct. So many wires.
So
many wireless connections. So many cameras and buttons to push.
A 2013 study found that during exercise, cyclists' blood flow in the brain rose by 28%. Okay, whatever.
Just as long as that wasn't one of the prior questions or topics you're talking about. But anyway,
Right.
Sorry, I digress.
Number 14, cycling improves spatial awareness.
100% agree.
Yep, I absolutely agree with that too.
Especially those that do a lot of the off-road stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a feel for stuff. Even riding in groups, you just get an idea, an awareness for where people are at, what people are doing, how close you can be to somebody, how far away you need to be.
You
from
process
certain
it
people.
so much that it can almost be considered a sixth sense.
Right.
It's pretty nuts. I would like to compare and contrast myself to my wife, but I'm going to bite my tongue because I know that she listens to the podcast.
I ride in traffic, fairly often.
Yeah.
And I find, even for myself, riding in traffic, if I'm trying to go the speed of the traffic, I find myself to be much safer than if I'm tootling along very slowly.
Yeah.
And part of that is just, being spatially aware of where the cars are, where they're coming, trying to watch for things. And I always joke that, I ride with my head on a swivel because I'm always looking for the guy who's going to left hook me.
Correct.
Or going to cut me off, or somebody's pulling ahead of me quickly. Are they going to turn right quickly? I will automatically scoot out of the lane to go to the left around that car.
Yep.
It's just, you just kind of, I guess it does increase your spatial awareness. Okay, last one. Cycling can grow your social circle.
100% agree.
Well, we wouldn't know each other.
Correct.
Jake.
Yeah, and I'll take it a step further. Get on Strava. Use Strava. People are going to make fun of it. They're going to poke fun at it and whatnot, but that's such a valuable app for so many different reasons.
Yep.
It's fun. It's a great place to log all of your stuff, but you can go out there and you can meet a bunch of cool people.
Yes.
I mean, I can probably add to this list of things that they've added on there, and I'll just add to what they just said, increasing your social circle, but the social circle that you're going to connect with is full of so many cool people, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we just talked about, like, it changes your disposition.
Yeah.
You have a better outlook. You have, what else? What are some other things in there? You get people that are they share the same mindset as you.
Yeah.
They want the same things, and they're just happy people. There's just something about that endurance community, more specifically the cyclists, that they're just good people. I don't know too many of them. It's very, very, very few and far between cyclists who I know that are just like, I don't really care to have anything to do with that
There's
person.
not many of them.
Yeah.
No, but there's a few out there.
A-holery is very, very slim to none. Versus, like, just if you get into, like, we'll say, I don't know, golf, or you say, like, people that just don't get into fitness at all, and they're just, like, a little crabby, a little unhappy, a little bit of that curmudgeon attitude. Those aren't people that you really want to surround yourself with. And if that's all you have in your social circles, unfortunately, is revolving around people that you have to be around that are like that, that's just going to propagate more of that. Whereas cycling, it's propagating good, positive vibes.
Correct.
I love it.
You know what? I think that means we need to go for a ride.
Yes, sir. Anything that you want to add to this list? Anything that you have that you think that they missed?
For me, it scratches my competitive itch.
100% agree there, too. And it's just great that there's a longevity to this sport that you can do for so long. I mean, we've got people on our team that are now 60, in their 60s.
We have a teammate turning 60 in a couple weeks who can out-sprint me.
Mr. Ian?
Yes.
Yes.
What the crap?
But a lot of these people, if you put a helmet and sunglasses on them and you just ran into them, you would guess that they're 20, 30, sometimes 40 years younger than they actually are. And then you compare them to the person who is that sedentary person that's not doing much. I'm not trying to stereotype, but that person that's not riding is probably carrying around an extra 30, 40, 50 pounds.
Yep.
They're not going to be happy. They're going to have a laundry list of medications that they're taking because they've been sedentary for too long, and they're going to let Western medicine just be the Band-Aid on there. And unfortunately, those people are not in a good way versus a person that has been a cyclist for a long time or maybe even recently changed. I mean, I do know people that picked up cycling in their I think it was their mid-50s. One gentleman in particular is a friend of mine who's a neighbor. Started cycling in his mid-50s. He's now creeping on 80, still out riding. Still out doing 30-mile rides and fit. Granted, sure he's 80, but he doesn't look like it.
Right.
And he's just a good dude.
I love that.
So there's just something to it about the longevity of the sport. Like, how many runners do you know that are out running still consistently in their 60s and able to be competitive without aches and pains?
They're only the ones that started when they were 40, not the ones that started when they were 15.
Yeah, we love you, Matt, but man, how's that Achilles doing, buddy?
Stuff just wears out. It wears out.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else on this list that we need to add. Rolling through here. I mean, I think they did a pretty good job of covering everything.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Ready to move on?
Yep.
How about one last thing?
I am unprepared for that.
You're unprepared for that?
What do we got? No,
How long are you going to be home?
Well, till Super Bowl, which is February 7th.
You're going down to
St. George.
St. George. How long of a trip is that going to be?
That's a great question.
Just depends on how hard the wind's blowing for you to keep going further south.
Exactly. I'll probably take 3 or 4 days to get down there. I'll spend 3 or 4 days there, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm home for a couple weeks at
awesome.
least.
So you'll be here to help me get this thing dialed in for next week, pun intended.
Yes. We need to figure out all the cords and wires and software and hardware.
Yeah, we also got to record some videos too for the old YouTubes.
We need to put out some more YouTube
for all
videos.
147 of our subscribers. Hopefully we didn't chase anybody off when we tried to do this live stream thing earlier today, but oh my gosh.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Love it.
My one last thing is, I don't know, I'm even unprepared myself here. I'm too busy taking notes and trying to plug things in today. Come out and check out our Tuesday night ride on Zwift, and I think that's about it. I don't need to bore people. We'll keep this one short and sweet.
It's all good.
Yep. Lance, fun as always.
Yes.
Matt and Evan,
suck it.
Thanks for coming and checking out the Dow podcast today for this cycling takeover. We really appreciate everybody listening. We will be back next week with more fun and exciting stuff, and we promise that we will do a better job of live streaming.
I can't promise that.
Maybe.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Till then, bye for now.